Alright, here we go again, another Final Fantasy XIV video. This time I'm mainly going to share my experience with the new expansion Endwalker. It has been a month now since the release of Endwalker, and throughout the holiday season I've been doing nothing but playing Final Fantasy XIV. So I thought, why not just talk about Final Fantasy XIV for a third time. Now this video will contain some minor spoilers, mainly video footage from the first few dungeons, as well as the first couple of zones, although I'm not going to talk about the story in details. Alright, that out of the way, let me just start off by saying that this expansion exceeded my expectations. I mean, the previous expansion, Shadowbringers, was already perfect, so going into Endwalker I was a bit unsure. Like, how do you top Shadowbringers? Don't get me wrong though, I was really hyped for Endwalker, but it's really hard to top something that is already in many people's eyes a 10 out of 10 game. But somehow they managed to do that. We all knew that Endwalker was going to end the arc of Hydaelyn and Zodiac that started all the way back in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, and they've somehow managed to stick the landing, which is really impressive. Now Final Fantasy XIV has seen a massive growth this year, and the release of Endwalker just spiked the player base even further, so much so that you had to wait hours in order to play the game. The servers were so congested that Square had to suspend the sale of Endwalker, but once you got in it was surprisingly a smooth experience. Endwalker is the first expansion that I've experienced on launch, and seeing so many people running alongside you questing was a sight to be seen. I really enjoyed the questing experience in Endwalker, and you could definitely tell that they have upped their game even further when it comes to the main scenario quest. I for instance love the addition of having other main characters following you, and depending on their location you can get some interesting dialogue. Some quests lets you even play from their perspective as well. There are also many instance quests where you, for instance, partake in skirmishes. Long gone are the questing days of A Realm Reborn, where you had to do plenty of tedious fetch quests. With the new expansion comes new zones and areas to explore. Now we've seen a couple of them during the lead up of Endwalker, and I thought that they were already spoiled all the new zones for Endwalker. And man, am I glad I was wrong, because there were a couple of other zones that I didn't see coming at all, and some of those places are just mind-bending and absolutely breathtaking. They were not kidding when they said Endwalker was going to be the biggest expansion so far. Now the same thing can be said about the new dungeons and raids. I feel like they've nailed the dungeon and raid experience since Stormblood, and Endwalker is no exception. The trust system from Shadowbringers is also back. For those that don't know, the trust system allows players to run main scenario dungeons with a party of allied NPCs. It is a system that I would recommend using if you're doing a dungeon in Endwalker for the first time, as it adds a little bit more immersion to your dungeon experience. The thing is that there are some story elements while you're doing dungeons, and you sometimes miss them if you do a dungeon with random players that are trying to clear the dungeons efficiently for their dailies. So having the trust system is a welcoming feature, especially for those that want to take in the scenery and all the story elements that the dungeon have to offer. And as I said earlier, some of the places that you will visit are just absolutely mind-bending. With this expansion came two new jobs as well. Sage and Reaper. Sage is a barrier healer that heals and protects the party with barriers. Their weapons are called Nollis, and they remind me a lot of fin funnels from Gundam, which I absolutely love. I usually don't play healer, but when I saw Sage I knew I had to try it, and I'm glad that I did. It can provide shields for days, which makes this job more of a proactive healer. Reaper on the other hand is a melee DPS and probably my new main. Everything about Reaper is just badass and it screams edgelord. It is a busy job, but it doesn't feel complicated to play. I usually play melee DPS, in particular Samurai and Dragoon, but I'm having so much fun with Reaper at the moment. But yeah, I've been enjoying my time with Endwalker, and right now I'm doing the Pandemonium raids as well as crafting and gathering on the side. What Final Fantasy XIV has managed to accomplish is nothing but inspiring. I mean, the game was pretty much in a very bad state during the launch of 1.0, and they somehow managed to revive it. So much so that it is today one of the most profitable Final Fantasy game out there. And a lot of the success is thanks to Yoshi P, who is by the way also working on Final Fantasy XVI. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV now for the past 2.5 years, and it has definitely been my favorite Final Fantasy experience. Yes, Endwalker is the end of a massive arc, but also a start of a new beginning, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for this incredible game. But that is all I have for today. Please do consider trying Final Fantasy XIV once it's available again, if you haven't done so already, and don't let the MMO label discourage you. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on Final Fantasy XIV in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video, I do videos on RPGs and sometimes anime related stuff. Consider subscribing if you're interested. More videos are coming, so stay safe, and I'll hopefully see you guys next time.